Hello, my name is Taylor Bevis and I'm here to talk to you today about the myths surrounding the social stereotype of how everybody knows that the media is bad for society and violent video games. Just by turning on the television, chances are you'll see some segment on one incredibly biased news channel describing how children who are exposed to video game violence are more likely to become violent themselves in the future. This media bias has influenced the general population and they have been using this myth as a scapegoat for why people act violent in certain situations. With very little evidence to support their theory, they rely on the sole basis of how children do what they see, which in theory can be correct. A study conducted by Dora in the 1960s was about the study of children's behavior when they were exposed to watching violent adults attacking a Bobo doll. Several different scenarios were tested and a group of female and male children who examined the study all showed various results. The main results showed that children who were exposed to aggressive study were more likely to act in a physical and verbally aggressive way towards the Bobo doll. Some children went as far as to imitate the adult male and use a rubber mallet to beat the Bobo doll and throw it around the room, while other groups that were exposed to non-violence did not show much signs of aggression. Thus, the conclusion that children observing adult behavior are the main influence on how children will interpret what is and what isn't acceptable within our society. As the study was concluded, many critics have identified that although children were aggressive, they were hitting a Bobo doll and not a real person. With the study being a stepping stone in the social learning theory, many have taken it and used it unjustifiably to immediately blame video game violence. Although video games can become quite graphic and expose graphic violence towards people, it does not mean that the game of playing it will take it literally and portray the violence within our general community. They are simply playing a game and modeling the behaviors that the game allows them to do so. The somewhat disbelief that the average age of gamers is actually 32 and not what the common belief age is between 13 and 18 shows society as only targeting a small amount of people who play the video games. With the Australian government administering that all children must be educated from year 1 to year 10 minimum, it can be said that gamers are educated enough to determine what is fiction and what is reality. The perceived stereotype of gamers is rapidly changing, and there is evidence that can back it up. Dr. Jeffrey Brand from Bond University Australia has conducted several studies that identify that women and older Australians are the fastest growing audience of computer and video gamers. His study surveyed over 1,600 households, and results show that over 41% of gamers are female, 3% increase from 2007, and that the gaming is now a social activity for families. 35% of parents are gamers, 70% of those parents play with their children. Psychological researcher Christopher Ferguson releases study findings over a 3-year period studying 165 boys and girls and how violent video games affect their behavior. The research finds no long-term link between the video games and the youth aggression or dating violence. A conclusion drawn from his research states that many participants in the experiment got frustrated attempting to play the violent video games as they were too difficult to learn how to play and cut themselves off the game because they didn't like it. By letting them play long enough to learn the game erases the effect of becoming violent and tends to have a sense of relaxation while playing the game. Video games have developed a platform for families to somewhat socialize and allow children to build in their literacy, numeracy, social skills, logic, and competition skills. With several video games being coordinated based, such as shooting games, flying games, Tetris, studies show that continuous gaming can increase the coordination of an individual's mental and physical capacity. An example of this was conducted in 1994 when the Israeli Air Force trained their cadets with the video game Space Fortress 2. It tested them against the other untrained cadets. Results showed that the group trained by Space Fortress 2 was better than the other group in every single aspect in flight performance. The game was then involved into the training program. It can be seen that general society are still holding on to the old myth that video games are the reason of violent behaviors within our community because it's an easy excuse to be used based on outdated research. The underlying fact still remains that the recent research conducted by scholars has shown that there is no direct links between video gamers and human violent behaviors. Much more we hear about the violent video games we use on outdated evidence and present a biased viewpoint to the viewers. Although they cannot 100% prove that the theory of violent video games creates violence in the community, it can be seen that the individual's history would more likely be the reason for that violent outburst instead of shifting the blame onto the video gamers. Thank you for your time.